Hello, and welcome to the very first episode of Review to a Kill. My name's James, and I'm a big James Bond fan.
My name's Tom, and I'm brand new to the James Bond franchise.
Okay, now I know what you're thinking. Oh, good, just what the world needs, another James Bond podcast. Well, hopefully
Sorry,
this
James, it's YouTube programme.
YouTube program. Yeah, sorry. Well, hopefully this one is going to be a little bit different because we're going to be looking at the films from the point of view of someone who's seen them 1,000 times before and someone who's never seen them before, or at least hasn't seen them since he was a child.
Yeah, or thereabouts. Pretty much a rookie novice.
And we're going to see where we agree and where we disagree, and try and disagree agreeably where we possibly can. We will also be making references to an early 90s TV show called Bottom that most of you probably don't remember and has nothing to do with the James Bond films. Cheers. So, the one thing we should say is there will be spoilers on these episodes. So, if you haven't seen the film that we're talking about each week, who am I kidding? We're not going to do one of these each week.
We'll do our best.
It took us 9 months to get to this point. Every episode. If you haven't seen the film, please, we will be giving away some major spoilers.
Yes.
Okay, so please be aware of that from the start. So we're going to start with the very first official James Bond movie, which of course was...
Dr. No.
Dr. No.
Is that the tune?
That's yes.
If you had written it.
Because there was no theme tune. Let's do one. So here I'm going to give you some basic information about the film. Then we're going to hit Tom's review as a first-time watcher of this film, and then we are going to move to perhaps the greatest prop that has ever been assembled for any podcast at YouTube channel in the history of the world. So, Dr. No, some basic information about this film. So, this is the first official James Bond film, the first one made by Eon Productions. The films are in a different order to the books. That's quite important.
This is my understanding, yes. I don't really know the books at all, so I'm sure you will tell me what happened there.
I'm going to give you a synopsis.
Okay.
Yeah, let's hope it's not painful, of the books later on. So, the two producers of this movie, of course, were legendary Bond producers Cubby Broccoli and Harry Saltzman. They met and formed Eon Productions, who are still the company that makes all those movies. Now, Wolf Mankiewicz, the playwright...
Sorry, what was that name?
Wolf Mankiewicz. How much do you want to be called Wolf? Hi, Wolf Scriven. Nice to meet you.
Wolf.
Hi, Wolf. Yeah. Do you want another drink, Wolf? Yeah. Wolf Mankiewicz was the playwright who first introduced Cubby Broccoli to Harry Saltzman. They formed Eon Productions, and Wolf wrote the first script based on Fleming's novel, along with Richard Maybaum, who became legendary Bond screenwriter. However, their first draft of Dr. No, based on Fleming's novel, was rejected because they turned Dr. No, the main villain in this movie, they turned him into a monkey.
Oh. Yeah.
That's a movie we should see.
I quite like the sound of it, yes. It is the kind of thing I would go and watch.
Well, Broccoli and Saltzman were not impressed with the idea of a marmoset as their main villain for the first movie, so that got ditched, and they brought in Joanna Harwood as the screenwriter, who was something of a trailblazer. There weren't many female screenwriters at the time, and she wrote the screen. Now, the next issue was who was going to play Bond.
Yeah.
So United Artists, the studio, wanted a big star, but the producers felt that a big star wouldn't commit to the 6 movies that they wanted to make. So Cary Grant, the legendary Cary Grant, was considered. Bristol boy, yeah, exactly. But he was a little bit too old, and David Niven was considered, but he was not tough enough, as he was to prove in Casino Royale in 1967.
That's quite a good assessment there.
Yeah. So here is some of the people who were considered. Patrick McGoohan, the prisoner, was considered. Albert Finney, who went on to be in a Bond film later on.
Okay.
Amongst many other things.
I'll wait for that one.
He was considered. Terence Howard, Michael Redgrave, so legendary actors, all considered. But it went to a relatively unknown Sean Connery, who was 31 years old, had been a milkman and a coffin polisher in Scotland, believe it or not, and could have been a footballer with Man United. Yeah.
I can't believe he was only 31.
He was 31 and he wore a wig right from the start. In the first film.
Yeah. And I'm glad we're already on Wig Watch because that's going to be a big part.
Wig Watch was obviously going to form a major feature of this podcast, YouTube channel podcast thing. So yeah, Wig Watch begins from the very first movie. So bless him. The director of the first movie was Terence Young, who was something of a James Bond character himself. He was a bon vivant, He liked the finer things in life, as we do. Here we are.
Well,
drinking our Pernod Ouzo marmalade and salt from our glasses. Ursula Andress was cast as the original, the first Bond girl, I suppose.
Bond girl. Yeah.
She was most famous outside of Italy, at least, for dating James Dean. She wasn't a particularly well-known actress at that point. Her voice was dubbed by Nikki van der Zyl, as most of the early actresses were. Jack Lord was cast as Felix Leiter, who went on to be in Hawaii Five-0.
Yeah.
And possesses the greatest quiff in cinema history. How much do you want that haircut?
I just like pretty much everything about Felix. I think we'll talk about him a bit more.
I like the way he's on the beach in a suit. Not many people can carry that off, you know. Joseph Wiseman was cast as Dr. No. Originally, Noel Coward was thought of, which is a lovely idea.
Would he have still
Noel Coward as Dr. No.
Would he have still have been Chinese?
I don't know. The sort of, the non-Chinese person's a bit of a problem, isn't it? We'll talk about that later. And we also cast some regular people who would go on to be regular Bond cast members. Bernard Lee as Lois Maxwell as Moneypenny and so on. Much of the filming took place in Jamaica, where Fleming had a house. GoldenEye. See, it all works. It all comes around. And the literary Bond loved Jamaica himself. So this was filmed in 1961 and released in 1962. So what's the historical context? 1962, the space race has started. So there's lots of references to rockets and all that kind of technology. It was very, very exciting and sexy at the time. More so in the movie than in the book, even though it was only 4 years on from when the book was published. And here's an interesting little tidbit, as I believe the Americans say, to stop anyone coming out in a sweat. It was released on the 5th of October 1962, which is the same day as the Beatles released their first single. What are the chances?
That's crazy, isn't it?
I know.
These two institutions beginning at the same time.
British institutions, no less.
Yeah. So you go down the pictures. What's the latest spy movie? Check that out, see what that's all about.
Yeah. Then go and watch.
Stop off on the record shop on the way back, pick up some 45s of the latest up and coming new bands.
Me and John.
Like the Beatles.
Great, the Beatles, great. So this was based on the source novel of the same name, obviously Dr. No. It was published in 1958. It was the 6th of Fleming's Bond novels. It followed from Russia with Love, which was extremely well received. We'll talk about that in the next episode. One of President Kennedy's favourite books, Russia with Love. Featured lots of the same names and locations. There were some differences. Dr. No in the novel was called Julius. Julius No, which is not a very scary... take over the world kind of name, is it? It's like Rupert or Brian. They're just not sort of scary. He's not scary.
He just hasn't got a first name in the movie, has he?
He's just Dr. No, isn't he? Perhaps his name was Brian in the movie. Who knows? They wrote out Brian No, didn't sound that great. So. And also, Dr. No in the novel makes his money, believe it or not, with guano. Guano, which is... bird droppings. So Crab Key, the island...
the bird ship business.
They run the bird ship business. He makes a lot of money in bird ship, he does. He sells it as fertiliser and makes all his money. But strangely, the producers felt that wouldn't be very good for the cinema.
Yeah, I was going to say...
Can't imagine why.
Yeah.
I'd love to have seen piles of...
I think, some of these producers, they just don't know
exactly what the public want, do they? I mean, exactly. Just not in tune with public opinion. No. Right, the production. There were some problems during filming of Dr. No. First of all, there's a famous scene in which the tarantula is in bed with Sean Connery as Bond
Good,
and crawling
that's a
up his
good
body,
name.
and it's all very terrifying.
Yeah.
The slight problem with this was that Connery was terrified of spiders. So he did it for a bit, and then he basically gave up and handed over to a guy called Bob Simmons, a stuntman who was in many of the Bond films later on.
They changed the sheets.
They did, yeah, presumably. The running out screaming bit was genuine. They also ran out of money. So here's an interesting thing. Ken Adam, legendary set designer, made these amazing sets for the movie, but they ran out of money because Ken Adams' set design was obviously very expensive for the producers. So the scene in which Professor Dent gets the tarantula, that room, it's an empty room and it's very atmospheric and it's a brilliant set.
Yeah.
But it was entirely done from necessity because they just had no money.
That's
so
great.
it was an empty room.
That's great. I've commented that I thought that was great. That was the set design of that,
Right.
the minimalistic approach. And
Yeah.
of course, it's because they didn't have any cash
Well, exactly,
to
yeah,
spend
but
on
no,
any
no,
props,
but-
and that's why there's nothing there.
But it looks brilliant,
It
doesn't
does.
it? You
It's
know,
got that little shadow.
Necessity is the mother of
window
invention.
frame in it in the.
That's right.
Yeah.
In the and he used a very similar set the following year for Doctor Strangelove, Stanley Kubrick's legendary film. So, anyway, I will shut up and let you do your review in just a moment. I was just
Okay.
going to say there are some very famous scenes in this movie. The scene where Ursula Andress comes out of the water, of course,
Underneath the mango tree.
with my high neck. There is also the immortal scene where Connery introduces himself as Bond. Connery needed a few drinks to do that.
Oh, yeah.
He had a few goes before lunch, couldn't get it right, had a couple of glasses of wine over lunch, and then got it right in the afternoon.
Oh, well done.
Yeah, there we are. Alcohol, it's part of the creative process, you know. We've also got the first gun barrel. So you see the very first gun barrel. Okay.
Yeah.
Designed by Maurice Binder, who designed 16 of the title sequences for the Bond films. And once again, Bob Simmons stood in for Connery as the James Bond shooting the gun during the gun barrel. That's not Connery. That's Bob Simmons. There's also a great scene. We talked about him earlier, but Professor Dent, the way that Professor Dent dies, spoiler, is a brilliant scene because that establishes Bond as a very cold killer. There was some debate. Joanna Harwood, the screenwriter, thought it shouldn't be kept in, but fortunately it has been, and it's, I think, a genuinely brilliant scene. So look, I've waffled on for long enough. Let's hear your impressions of this movie as a first-time watcher. What did you make of it?
I really loved it. It's coming into this, you know, obviously I know of a few things you can't have escaped Bond by being, you know, growing up in the 80s and 90s, and but yeah, never watched a lot of them. So I was kind of thinking this may be a bit rough around the edges, a bit of a prototype. It's definitely, from what I understand, the stunts and you know, set pieces are going to, you know, start to increase in spending and spectacle.
There's no giant space lasers and stuff in this. It's a bit more down to earth.
But it's just really, it just like flows along really well.
Yeah.
It just, it's
a good story.
It's a great little story. It's a great introduction to the character.
Yeah.
And it's got a lot of the things that I think become staples of the series.
You can see the blueprint.
I mean, because I don't want to talk about what the categories are, but
there are categories.
There's certain things I've been looking out for with, you know, being aware, you know, music and things like that, and it's just, it sounds fantastic. It looked fantastic, and the location shooting and everything.
And he is, he is the original, and I think best Bond, because it's like the way he moves and the way, it's not just the things he says, it's everything. It's the cut of the suit, it's the, you know, he's a very stylish guy, but he's also, the fact he is a little rough around the edges, rougher than someone like David Niven would have been, actually makes the part, because he is an assassin. He's a guy who's going to kill people, you know, and you get that impression from Connery.
Yeah. Oh, I'll tell you what, my facts that I found out.
Fact me.
The music Jump Up Jamaica in it by Byron Lee and the Dragonaires.
Obviously.
I thought I recognised that name, and I scratched my head a bit, and then I realised I've got a reggae box set of like Beatles covers, various artists doing reggae versions of Beatles songs, which extends to some Beatles solo work, which includes Byron Lee and the Dragonaires doing an amazing cover of Live and Let Die. And yeah,
Strong.
so there we are.
Like the sound of it.
Yeah, it is. I'd check it out. You can find it on YouTube.
Yeah, after you finish watching us.
Oh yeah,
So watch us first. Then
we
go.
might put a link up or something.
Yeah, let's put a
once
link
we
up.
work out
That'd be
how to do
a
that sort of
public
thing.
service. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tom does the technical stuff, I should say.
And very successfully as well. It's ran very smoothly so far. Yes, I did. So yeah, we talked about Felix. I like Felix. The scene when we first meet him in the airport when he is doing some very inconspicuous spy work.
He's got his sunglasses on in the airport.
Lynn's mum's cataract glasses. Massive sunglasses. And he just keeps walking to and from
He
phone
walks
booth.
to the phone booth, opens the door, and then very deliberately checks his watch as if to say, actually, maybe I don't have time for this phone call, and then closes it again. And he's even got the newspaper. You know, the classic spy thing, his sunglasses on, looking behind the newspaper. He's even doing that. I mean, it's proper spy work. None of your fancy lasers.
No. And there's another good spy in that same scene. I think she's just called like Freelance or something. They refer to her, don't they?
The girl with the camera. I don't think she has a name. No.
She's just got the biggest camera. She's going around trying to get some shots of Bond with
a suitcase.
That I enjoyed that a lot.
The blinding flash from the suitcase as she inconspicuously takes his photo.
Yeah, they kind of get onto her later on, don't they? She tries to take a shot from about 2 feet away from him, and it just goes like that.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's that scene in the in Pussfella's restaurant as well, where she is obviously treated very, very badly.
Oh, yeah.
Even worse in the book, actually.
Oh.
We'll talk about controversies in a minute.
Okay.
But there is the dancing scene, which is legendary amongst fans.
Because of the bloke.
I mean, we should devote a whole podcast to this guy because he's like. So, if anyone's not seen this is a guy dancing to what are they called?
Byron Lee and the Dragonaires.
Thank you.
Jump
up. Only he's clearly off his tits on whatever the equivalent of speed was in 1962. And his eyes are like this, aren't they? As he's doing it, he's all like, come on.
I like to think the director was like, so we're just, it's just a party. We're just dancing like normal. just have fun with it. Well, like this.
Don't upstage. Just take it steady.
Yeah. Don't make too much of a spectacle of yourself. You are a background artist after all. Okay. Yeah. No, I got it.
It's off-putting. That's what it is, quite frankly.
Yeah, I love that guy.
So we should identify the fact this is a more than 60-year-old movie, and there are some things in it that are controversial and that wouldn't be included now. So there is, I think the character of Quarrel, the way he's framed in both the book and the movie, is obviously problematic by modern standards.
Yeah.
Believing in the dragon and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And we do have a sort of master and servant relationship between Bond and Quarrel going on.
Yeah.
When Bond says, "Fetch my shoes," I think that's it's a bit clang, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes.
There, we also have a problem with what today we would call yellowface, which is non-Asian actors playing Asian roles. So you mentioned Joseph Wiseman playing a Chinese man. Zena Marshall, who is absolutely beautiful as Miss Taro, but sadly not Chinese.
Yeah.
So sort of a problem. I think today, clearly Asian actors would be cast in those two roles. I think we should also, perhaps not quite as serious, but not sure this would make the cut these days. When Bond is in bed with Miss Taro and they're about to have sex for the second time and he actually checks his watch over her shoulder. I mean, I know there's a funny side to it, but you shouldn't do it really. Quips, puns, always a big part of a Bond film. So, are you looking for shells? No, I'm just looking. As Honey stood there in her bikini, I think is a pretty awful pun. To be honest, Honey Rider's name herself is a pretty awful pun, really, isn't it? If we're being honest.
they set the precedent there, haven't they?
They did. There were some worse ones that followed.
Yeah.
The other thing is, the only real quip, as in, I've just killed someone and I'm going to make a quip, is when the hearse goes over the side of the mountain.
Yeah.
And he says, I think they were on their way to a funeral. Like it's a sort of well-known phrase or saying.
Yeah.
You know, like it's the sort of thing you hear every day. You know.
And also, and it's like, well, yeah, but they would be.
They would be, because it's a
doesn't
hearse.
Explain why they drove off a cliff.
On fire.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is not normal for a hearse. Anyway.
So the other one, early on...
Oh, sorry, did I miss one? Go on.
Only... It's easy to miss when he's killed that guy. Oh no, the guy he's killed himself with cyanide.
Yeah.
And he's
Mr.
got
Jones.
he's got him in the back. He's got the corpse in the back, and he just says to like the guy who's parked his car, he's like, "Don't let him get away." And the guy's like, "What?" Oh, I would have been.
So, British agent flies from Britain to Jamaica, turns up at Government House with a dead body in the back of someone else's car.
That's right.
And everyone's like, yeah, this is all totally fine. I can't see this causing any problems.
Yeah.
So that's a Bond film, I suppose. Right. Reception. The reception for this was mixed amongst the critics, although it has been reappraised more favourably in light of subsequent Bond films. The public absolutely loved this. The Bond movies, the Bond novels were very popular, but the Bond movies just went absolutely crazy. The budget for this movie was 1.1 million. And the box office was 59.5 million.
Crikey.
So they made an awful lot of money on this, and despite the studio's misgivings, it was an absolutely enormous success and set the template for what was to follow.
Yeah.
Is it prop time?
I think so.
Should we unleash the prop?
I think we should.
Some podcasts have props.
Well, YouTube shows.
YouTube shows. Some YouTube shows have props. We have... I mean, it's more than a prop. It's an achievement, really. It's a work of art.
I'm very proud.
Yeah, I know.
I'm very proud.
You should be. You should be. I mean, you're a musician, but this might be the most creatively amazing thing you've ever achieved.
It's much
it's extraordinary.
Better than my music.
No, it's a wonderful thing. So this is the Bond board.
Right.
It's not better than Tom's music, by the way. Can I just say, Tom Scriven music on SoundCloud. He's good, this man. So, Bond board. Here we are. Talk us through it, Tom.
This is where the letters fall off because... Right,
Is it in shot, or do we have to move it?
I can move it, but it is all in shot.
Oh, it is in shot. Okay, right, fine.
But I can get it.
No. If it's all in shot, that's fine.
Do we want
to
reveal?
Please, no. This is like Blackpool Illuminations. Please, go on.
It may look like an ordinary,
it's not.
But luxury whiteboard.
Luxury.
But you want luxury, then check this out. Whoa!
My God.
Yeah.
What will they think of next? It's amazing what they can do, isn't it?
So there we go.
Yeah.
Proper luxury item on this show.
High quality.
Yes. And I'm explaining what it is now.
What's the format of the board?
Well, as you can see, this is a list of the movies. James and I are going to score different categories for each movie out of 10. There's 12 categories, isn't there?
So there's 12.
Let it about.
There's
I
12.
do just want to check.
There's 12 headings. You're going to score out of 10. I'm going to score out of 10, which means a grand total potential of 240. Tom's running around checking cameras. Are they working?
Yeah.
Good. Fine. Let's just leave that bit in. I think people would like to see behind the scenes. Behind the wizard's curtain. So 240 is the maximum score. Okay?
Yes.
If we score all of them at 10 out of 10 each, that would be 240. So, what are the headings that we have across the top of this this immaculate piece
You
of
should
art?
be able to read them.
You can. I can't read them from here. There's
I
no
can't
way.
read them, and I wrote these. One, I genuinely couldn't work out what it said for a few days. So, we are scoring opening sequence, as in pre-title sequence.
Yeah.
Which, bit of problem.
Yeah, don't worry.
Already. Theme song, again, a bit of a problem.
Don't worry. Prototype.
Story.
Yeah.
That's the one that I thought said grunts, but it says stunts.
Start good.
And
At least it didn't say anything else.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
Villain,
Yeah.
possibly brackets S.
Villainess.
Not
yeah, whoever the
or
chief.
villains,
Whoever the chief villain is.
Villains.
Okay,
Is there
yeah,
more
yeah.
than one sometimes, or is it?
There are.
Okay. Henchmen,
Yeah.
gadgets, gags, and girls. They're safe. Location, vehicles, and the music score.
Right.
James
and this
Bond,
will
red,
give
white,
us
blue.
a total out of 240. My scores, obviously, as someone who's seen this film a million times before, and Tom's scores as someone who's seen it for the first time. And we'll see how they correlate.
Yeah.
Okay? So, I've inputted your data. Ooh. So let's do let's do the opening sequence. Now, bit of a problem with this because there isn't a pre-title sequence to Doctor No as there would be in subsequent Bond films. So we can't really score opening sequence. So in the interest of keeping it fair, 5 out of 10 as a sort of medium average.
I think so, because they weren't to know, were they?
They weren't to know.
And I think
it would be unfair to put it as a 0,
Yeah.
given that
I
it
think
was
you're
what
right
was to
there.
follow. I mean, the first scene, if we take the first scene of the movie, it's the 3 blind mice and it's
Strangways.
Strangways, which I think is a really
George
good
Martin,
scene.
the Beatles.
George Martin, yeah. And actually, that
Little
comes
cameo.
directly from Fleming. That comes directly from the book. So I think that scores pretty highly anyway.
It's pretty
So
cool scene.
yeah, pretty good scene.
I mean, it's not going to be him. I know of
no.
certain ones. with Union Jack parachutes and that kind of thing. There's nothing
possibly comment.
There's nothing like that going on here. But that was pretty cool. The
So if we say
Black Mice.
5 as a sort of
Yeah.
as an average score for that, so 5 from me and 5 from you. I'm red, Tom's blue, just in case you're still awake. What's the next category, my dear old thing?
Theme song.
Well, the themes, there isn't a theme song for this as in someone
Not
singing
a
Doctor
new-
No,
no.
but there is, of course, over the titles,
Oh, yeah.
the original theme tune, which is still the best version of the Bond theme tune.
It is amazing. I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
I love I just imagine being the drummer on that when it kicks in. It's just, absolutely outstanding. I love it.
So if we're taking that as the theme tune,
And
then it scores very highly.
Yeah.
I'm going 9.
Yeah.
Yeah, big 9.
Oh, I'm going to move this.
Do you know what? Because we're rubbish at maths, I'm gonna add this up on my pocket calculator.
Yeah, I think that's
Look at
like
this.
it.
No expense spared. It's solar powered, ever so clever. So we've
I'm
scored
also giving
10,
that 9.
10 and 18 then so far, right? Next category is
The story.
I like the story. I think it fits pretty well with the original that Fleming wrote. Probably an improvement on it at some point. The novel Doctor No got criticised for some of its plot, which I don't think you could say about the movie. I'm gonna say 7
Yeah.
for the story.
Yeah.
Definitely not the worst.
Okay. Yeah, I think we said, I was a big fan as a first timer to this one. Yeah, I really like this. I'm going to give it an 8.
An 8.
Yeah.
Okay. I've added you in. What have we got next? That's
stunts.
stunts. Right. Okay. That just looks like an S followed by some scribble.
Again, this is
struggling
where
a
I'm
bit
kind of
for
contradicting
stunts, aren't we?
myself of like, oh no, it still had all the same stuff that all the all the staples, because I remember the fight with the driver when he kind of goes to kick him and he twists his leg around and bit of
a stunt.
flipping and that kind of thing going on there.
But it's not like jumping out of a plane without a parachute. So, not of the scale of what would follow, I would say. So, 4?
You're going 4.
I'll go 4. Go on.
I'm not even saying 4. I'm gonna go 3.
Oh, that's harsh.
Don't have it.
You're a harsh marker.
But then it's more like they didn't know it was meant to be about the stunts, so they didn't really bother.
It was more a thing
putting
that
in.
came later on.
Yeah.
Villain.
Oh no! All right.
Leaving aside the non-Chinese
Leaving
thing
aside that they couldn't find a Chinese actor, apparently there weren't any
anywhere,
in the
even though they
60s.
found millions of Chinese extras.
Yeah,
But anyway.
yeah.
I actually I like him as a villain. I do think he's the original. He is the template for a lot of what followed.
Yeah.
And I do think there is a certain coldness to him, which I like a lot. I know you have a problem with his steel hands, and in particular the manner of his death.
Well,
Because
so I'm going to choke on my drink. Well, yeah, I mean, because they kind of make them, but there's like one bit, isn't there, where he crushes that ornament.
yeah,
He doesn't utilise them ever again.
no,
And then in the end, they are the death of him because he can't hold on to
the metal.
and he
You know
ends
what
up-
killed him, don't you? Condensation. If he'd have had proper air conditioning in that room, none of that would have happened. I'm gonna say 7. I think for the
And
film.
I'm going to choke to death.
And after you've choked to death, what's your score?
I like it, and I also kind of like the scene, you know, with him round the table with Bond.
Yeah, that is a good scene.
And he's basically just really fucked off. the legitimate, you know, organisations didn't want to work with him, and he's like, well, fuck you.
He's
then.
too mad even for them.
Yeah.
And actually, again, a lot of that is taken from Fleming. So you know when he's looking at the wall, when he can see all the fish outside and everything.
Yeah.
And he comes in and says, $1 million,
Yeah.
Mr. Bond.
Yeah.
Right. That's taken directly from Fleming. So that is a good line.
So I'm going to go a little bit high. I'm going to go 8 for the villain.
8 for
I
the
like
villain.
him.
Okay.
Apart from his rubbish hands,
Apart from his
which was the main bit about him. Henchmen, was there any? Oh, not any like characters, were there really?
You wouldn't call Professor Dent a henchman, would you?
No.
I mean, he's there is the guy, the big burly guy who duffs Bond up a bit toward the end after the dinner scene with Dr. No.
Yeah.
But he's not in the class of what will follow. There isn't. Again, they're tinkering with the format. They're tinkering with the what works in this movie. So 3.
3.
Sorry to be such a low
I'll match
scorer
your
there.
3.
What's next? I can see a G. Oh, these are the G's. Okay, let's do the 3 G's.
Gadgets, gags, and girls.
Oh.
So gadgets.
Have you met the wife's mother? Right, gadgets. Not bad for 1962, but not great compared to what would follow. Would we
What does
say?
he have? Because
A gun.
Yeah, that's a gun. Which I
I'm
forgot
thinking
to say.
about it. A car.
He has a car. The gun that
He flies on a plane. No, there's not many
there aren't any
gadgets
gadgets.
compared to what would follow. No.
The gun.
There is.
Can I just say about the gun?
Sorry, say about the gun. Shut up. I'll drink my drink and shut up.
That I liked. I should have said this earlier, but early on in the movie when I believe it's the armourer comes in.
I was just going to say that, but you've said it more eloquently than I would have done, so you're fine.
And because Bond's got a Beretta.
He has.
And
Which he basically says is a lady's gun,
yeah.
which is a
And
bit harsh.
he really doesn't want to give it up. He loves it, even though M's like, hey, put you in a bloody hospital for 6 months, Bond. He's like, yeah, I
You
know.
foolish man!
But it's really good otherwise.
I like my Beretta. It's a very accurate weapon.
So that's when he gets given the famous Walther PPK.
Well done.
Right?
Well done. I'm impressed. You've done your homework.
But-
that scene is lifted from Fleming.
Well, I love any scene in movies where there's someone selling guns.
Is there anything you want to tell me? I'm a bit worried about you.
No,
There's a side to
because
you
I'm
that-
not in that world, so I kind of like
sure.
as far as
You haven't got like a locker full of guns here. There isn't a Confederate
No.
flag somewhere, is
No,
there?
I just like looking into when in like a Pacino or De Niro movie, and
Right.
they've got automatic weapons on the
I like
just
this
on a
gun.
hotel bed.
I
or
like
that.
this gun.
Yeah, I'd say kids, when you get like to careers advice stage, and you get asked, just I want to be an armourer.
Yeah,
It's
I'd
gotta
like
the
to be
best-
Q from the Bond
Yeah,
films,
it's got to be the
please.
best job.
Okay, but yeah, good scene, but not many gadgets.
No.
Five.
aren't any, is there?
Five. I'll go 5.
5.
Yeah,
I'm
go
going
on.
to say 2.
2?
Well, there isn't
I
any.
thought you just said how much you like guns.
Yeah, but that's not a gadget. I mean, I suppose it is.
You're
through the
talking
lack
yourself out of it.
the
now.
lack of anything
You notice
else.
this? He's talking himself out of it.
Well, no, because I like scenes where people buy guns.
Right.
I still don't
That's
think they're
quite
gadgets.
a niche thing to look for in a movie. Hi, is there a scene where someone buys a gun in this film? No, sir, it's The Little Mermaid. So 2 for that from you.
Yeah, I'm going to stick.
Okay, so that's gadgets. Gags.
Gags. Well, we've done them already.
We've sort of
haven't we?
done gags.
They
Yeah.
weren't.
They weren't.
They weren't going to. I wouldn't open the stand-up set with these ones.
No. Have you done much stand-up?
No, James Bond.
Oh, sorry. I thought you meant have you done much stand-up? Sorry. I will go. I do like make sure he doesn't get away. So
Yeah, that was quite
And Connery
good.
delivers that very well. I'll go
Yeah.
5. It's not as good as what would follow, but it's okay. Yeah.
And what else? And the hearse one.
I'm red. You've just done blue.
Oh shit!
Unless you're having 5 as well.
I think I will, but it's still.
Oh, no. Yeah, no. There's a. I mean, you're just making a mockery of the system otherwise. Right. You're going 5 as well. Okay, 5.
Yeah. Right now, girls. We don't really want to rate women, do we? 'Cause
No, we're not into that.
Sort of cool, liberal gentlemen, aren't we? Really.
We're modern men.
Modern
I would
guys.
say let's just put 10 against everything
Yeah,
from both of us.
I think that's a very, very good idea. Because they all had a good old go, didn't they?
They are beautiful and talented.
They are.
Yeah,
And-
that's I think what you're trying to say,
Yeah,
isn't it?
and
Yeah.
we can still.
Before we start getting complaints.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay. But yeah, well, I mean, but because the girls kind of are just there, they don't really get the best material to work with. They're not
Miss
given
Miss
many
Tarot
clothes
is
to
treated.
wear.
No,
But,
yeah, that is true. She is treated terribly. Miss
Yeah.
Tarot. I know she's a baddie,
But Tarot, I forgot to say earlier, I liked when she's arranging to meet Bond, so she's giving him directions on the phone. I wrote it down.
He wrote it down. All right.
She
hold on.
says, you leave the Port Royal Road out of Kingston, then along the Wentworth Road until you get to the cement factory. Then you turn left, follow the road up the hill, down the other side, and 2 miles further on the left, Magenta Drive 2171. And I'd just be like, what, so I'm at the cement factory?
Hold on. Yeah.
Is that left?
Hold on. Sorry, did you say left at the cement factory?
But maybe people just could retain more information back then because they didn't have phones and Google and that. That's probably what it is.
That's what it is.
That's what.
And besides, he's James Bond. You only got to tell him something once, and he's just remembered it.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. And also with Honey Rider, the only her best line is when she asks. She's trying to convince Bond. Quarrel and her are trying to convince Bond there's a dragon on the island.
Even though you can smell the diesel fumes and hear the engine running. But anyway.
Yeah. And Bond is not having this, so she says, did you ever see a mongoose dance, or a scorpion with sunstroke sting himself to death, or a praying mantis eat her husband after making love? No.
No.
And that he's like, no, I don't think so.
We don't see a lot of that in Bristol, to be honest.
And I don't know if that's meant to prove or reinforce her argument.
Well,
I
think the trouble is she's very childish, isn't she? It's a little bit uncomfortable watching Bond. What's the phrase we would use? Not take advantage of her, but because
put the moves on.
Well, yeah. Admittedly, she seems happy to go along with it,
Yeah.
but it is a little uncomfortable because she is quite childlike and is clearly not very well versed in the ways of the world. So I wonder if that speech is a kind of she's more grown up than you think, sort of thing.
Oh, I thought it sort of makes her sound like she's got the fucking mind of a child. She's going on about
this will not stop me. So locations. So a bit of context here. In 1962, I think seeing Jamaica on the big screen would have been amazing.
Yeah,
That scene with the beach,
yeah,
and everything, I think would have been absolutely amazing. I know it's not as globe-trotting as the films that followed it.
Oh, right.
There's a couple of Roger Moore films where he sort of pops to the other side of the world and pops back and then pops somewhere else and pops back. It's not like that, but I think to see Jamaica on the big screen in 1962 in rainy London, before Beatlemania and whatever else, I think would have been pretty amazing. So I think a little bit of context required there. I will say 7 for location.
7.
You're now going to say 1.
No, I loved it as well. It just looks fantastic, and yeah, luckily I'm watching these on a pretty big telly on Blu-ray, so while there might be some
All
problems
right, stop
there.
showing off.
I'm
We know
just-
you've got gadgets.
Just giving
all right,
you a bit of
stop showing off.
context.
I've got a big telly. I've got Blu-ray. You got Wi-Fi as well.
I'm dying up.
You want 56k done?
Yeah. But no, I'm just saying it looks fantastic, restored now, and
Yeah.
so
Yeah, it does.
lovely stuff.
And you've got all that stuff around the sets as well, which I guess is part of the location, which does look amazing.
Yeah.
The models as well, they don't look too
there's some
modelly,
nice
if you know what I
miniatures
mean.
at the end, yeah. Well, they get a little bit
Modelly. Yeah.
right at the end, but
There was a touch of the
good work
Thunderbirds
for-
about it right at the end.
yeah, but for 62, pretty decent. I'd say I'm going 8. There.
8, okay.
And again, all right, vehicles.
Yeah, we're lacking for a good vehicle, really, aren't we? Because we don't have the Aston Martin.
McLean got him there. Got him to Jamaica.
He does drive a little Sunbeam around the old.
Yeah.
With the chase with the hearse,
Yeah.
which is quite a sexy little car.
Yeah.
But it's not maybe as great as not as iconic as Aston Martins and Lotuses and so on that would follow. So
And that actually looks really good as well. Just for driving scenes can often be where you get completely taken out of a movie where you're just
because the back projection is
even
terrible.
more recent food. I was going to say movies and films at the same time, and I was going to say foovies then.
Foovies. Whatever. We've invented a new genre. That's fine. Don't worry.
I'm just checking all these luxury brackets are still
check
holding the letters up.
It'd be a shame if all those pennies went to waste.
So there's that car's pretty cool, but nothing really
iconic.
No.
I'll go 4. Is that a bit harsh?
I was going to go 3. So good.
Oh, okay, all right, fine.
Yeah. Which brings us to the music and score. Well,
This is not the theme tune. This is the music, the actual score of the movie.
yeah, and like songs used in it.
Yeah. Oh well, I know you're a big fan of Underneath the Mango Tree.
I had that in my head for days. I kept singing it. I was making my brother
How was
laugh
that going
by-
to work, singing around the office? Underneath.
Well, luckily I'm not. I was working from home, but
I can see why.
But sometimes during calls and that, I just sing it to a
Yeah.
customer or one of me.
Just put you on hold for a minute.
Yeah.
Underneath the Mango Tree.
I absolutely love that. Yeah.
I think some of the early films do suffer. Some of the, I mean, you'll know more about this as a musician, but some of the mixing seems to be a little bit, off. Where they're talking at sort of this level, and suddenly the music comes in and it's like da 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 da, and you're sort of whoa, all right.
Yeah.
When he's walking through the hotel, and the receptionist in the hotel is the first of about 27 million
The one that looks at his
receptionists who looks at his ass.
Yeah.
Which is a theme all the way through the movies. I mean, that music is deafening. I mean, it's great to hear it. Don't get me wrong, but you do feel like the mix is kind of slightly out.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But that's just me.
No, I did find because I was messing with the volume a bit.
But Underneath the Mango Tree, good.
Yeah, and
Original Bond theme, great.
Yeah, and a lot of the score is just little sections from the theme, isn't it? Or
there isn't quite the same John Barry influence that there would be later on.
Okay.
There isn't quite the same. You have a treat in store when it comes to as a musician. You will genuinely love a lot of music in this. So
I'll bet, yeah.
I'm gonna say 6 for the music.
6. Oh, you're red.
I'm red.
You're red.
And don't you forget it.
Is that
That looks like a 0 with a
very sideways.
Yeah, no, that's all right. 6. I can see what that is. That's
fine.
That's now a lead down 6.
Yeah. So.
Don't worry, I'm not criticising. I know.
I'm gonna go a bit higher because.
Okay.
I'll just do 7, but
7.
For Underneath the Mango Tree, that's kept me.
So I have, very excitingly, a final score for Dr. No.
Okay.
I've been typing it into this very clever device all the way through, and out of a possible 240, which is a really catchy figure that we've stumbled upon there, isn't it? It says our scores. Out of a possible 240, I have for Dr. No 143. Careful.
Right. 1, 4, 3.
Now, is that a good score? We
I
don't know
think
yet
so.
because we haven't got context. But it strikes me as decent, above average.
I mean, he's done well on the story,
Yeah,
the theme song.
yeah.
Everyone's going to do well with girls. Yeah, I could see this being close.
Okay.
Obviously, I haven't watched them yet, but I'm, from my understanding, there's some, a lot of debate as to which are the stinkers. But some people might really love.
I
Others that
think
people think
amongst the
stinkers.
fans, I don't think you'll find many fans that say Doctor No is a stinker.
Yeah.
I think most fans would have this somewhere in the middle or even slightly more towards the top.
Okay.
I would say, amongst the inaccurate Twitter poll, but that's what I would say from...
Well, this is it now that I've started getting into this, and I just keep, because I'm looking at Bond things on Twitter, so I get more and more.
You must join Bond Twitter.
It's a big step, isn't it? But I'm pretty much there. I'm looking over at the moment and going, oh, they're having a lot of fun.
Like
and
one
I
of
want
those
to know
things.
I want to know what they're talking about. But we decided to do a show about it, which means I can't just blast
I can't
through
come
them
into
all.
the playground and just start playing. So.
Oh God! And I'm breaking my pens now.
Well, don't break your pens. You need them for subsequent. What's happened there? That looks. Is that blue? Oh, here's a glimpse behind the glamour for you all. Did that literally fall out?
Yeah.
Did you get that from the same place you got these cameras?
Maybe. Okay. Right.
Right. 143 is the score to beat.
Yeah.
Episode 2 will of course be
From Russia with
Love. Don't start singing. From Russia with Love. So we will do From Russia with Love next, and we will see how that compares to Doctor No, and we'll see what our varying scores are like again. They're pretty similar actually here. We're not far apart, are we?
I think so.
There's not like one of us has got 10 and one of us has got 3.
Yeah.
We're pretty up together. So interesting. We shall see if that continues through the series.
We'll see how this pans out, yeah.
We hope you enjoyed the very first episode.
I've certainly had a lot of fun.
Thank you. I've had a lot of fun too. Who is the sexiest man on TV? Kilroy, obviously.
Of course.
So thank you very much for watching, and we will see you next time for
From Russia with Love.
Russia with Love.
Did we say this has been Review to a Kill?
Review to a Kill, episode 1. Thank you. Love you. Bye.